Hello everyone, Jackie here and welcome back to my channel. And tonight I want to discuss a theory about Robert's Rebellion and who may have possibly known the truth about Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. In this theory, I am proposing that Littlefinger actually knew the true nature of Rhaegar and Lyanna's relationship, but kept it a secret. Now, before you guys go in the comments tell me that I'm crazy, there's absolutely no way, I want to talk this out and explain why the situation is never set right with me and why I think Littlefinger may have known. I actually discussed this in the comments with one of my viewers once, but I want to go into some more detail and explain why I think this is a possibility. The first thing that I found really suspicious was the scene in the show where Littlefinger was talking to Sansa in the crypts about Rhaegar and Lyanna. The way that Littlefinger acts in this scene makes it seem like he knows something Sansa doesn't, so watch this scene really quick so you can see what I'm talking about.
I thought I might find you here. Your Aunt Lyanna.
My father never talked about her. Sometimes I'd find him down here lighting the candles. They say she was beautiful.
I saw her once. I was a boy, living with your mother's family. Lord Went held a great tourney at Harrenhal. Everyone was there. The Mad King, your father, Robert Baratheon, and Lyanna. She was already promised to Robert. And you can imagine what it was like for me, a boy from nowhere, with nothing to his name, watching these legendary men tilting at the lists. The last two riders were Barristan Selmy and Rhaegar Targaryen. When Rhaegar won, everyone cheered for their prince. I remember the girls laughing when he took off his helmet and they saw that silver hair, how handsome he was. Until he rode right past his wife, Elia Martell, and all the smiles died. I've never seen so many people so quiet. He rode past his wife, and he lay a crown of winter roses in Lyanna's lap, blue as frost. How many tens of thousands had to die because Rhaegar chose your aunt?
Yes, he chose her. And then he kidnapped her and raped her.
Come. Let's speak somewhere the dead can't hear us.
Now, this scene establishes that Littlefinger was, in fact, in attendance at the tourney of Harrenhal where Rhaegar and Lyanna met for the very first time. He says that he saw Rhaegar crown Lyanna the Queen of Love and Beauty, and there were other events that happened at this tourney that Littlefinger may have noticed from afar. First of all, Lyanna actually cried at a song that was played by Rhaegar, and there was the whole situation with the Knight of the Laughing Tree. Now, in case you don't know, the Knight of the Laughing Tree was a mystery knight who entered the tourney wearing mismatched armor and was fighting against squires who had previously insulted Howland Reed, a Stark bannerman. Now, a lot of people think that this knight may have been Lyanna, and when Aerys Targaryen, the Mad King, sent Rhaegar out to find the Knight of the Laughing Tree, he may have found out that it was Lyanna, but decided to keep it a secret from his father, as Rhaegar told Aerys that he couldn't find the Knight of the Laughing Tree, and therefore the knight's identity was never disclosed. Now, it's possible that Littlefinger could have put it all together and realized this secret about Lyanna and maybe have witnessed something between Rhaegar and Lyanna at this tourney, which led to Rhaegar crowning Lyanna the Queen of Love and Beauty. Say what you will about Littlefinger, but this guy was definitely not an idiot, and he was really good at manipulating situations to his advantage. Now, you're probably wondering, why would Littlefinger have wanted to manipulate the situation? What was his motive? And I will say that at this point, Littlefinger was not happy with the Stark family. And why was that? It was because of Brandon Stark, Ned Stark's older brother. At some point, either shortly before or after this tourney, the timeline is not entirely clear, Brandon Stark was betrothed to Catelyn Tully, who Littlefinger was in love with. Now, this caused Littlefinger to challenge Brandon to a duel over Catelyn, and if it wasn't for Catelyn telling Brandon to leave Littlefinger alone, Brandon probably would have killed Littlefinger, because Littlefinger did not stand a chance in this fight against the older and more fit Brandon Stark. Now, this gives Littlefinger a motive to hate the Stark family because he was in love with Catelyn, and he sort of saw Brandon Stark as an obstacle in his way of getting Catelyn. She was something he always wanted, and he would have held resentment against the Starks for taking Catelyn from him in his mind. Because he was in love with her, he wanted to be with her, and he was willing to do anything he had to do to get her. He thought that he could make her fall in love with him, that if he just kept trying, eventually she would realize and she would love him too. And obviously that never happened, but Littlefinger was willing to do anything it took to get Cat. Also, after this duel, Littlefinger had sex with Lysa Tully, thinking that she was Catelyn, so Littlefinger thought that he had sex with Catelyn. He honestly believed that, so he probably thought he actually would have a chance with her if Brandon Stark was out of the way. Now, this goes towards his motive about perpetrating this lie about Rhaegar and Lyanna, which I am going to get to right now. Something that I always thought was strange was that Lyanna didn't tell anyone that she was actually going with Rhaegar willingly and that she wasn't kidnapped or raped. It was so hard for me to sympathize with Rhaegar and Lyanna when they were both seemingly so careless. You would think that if Lyanna was going to run away with the man, she would leave a note for her family telling them, hey, I'm all right, I'm going willingly, please don't come after me, everything's fine. I mean, I leave a note for my parents when I go for a walk down the street just to make sure they don't freak out about where I am. It was so hard for me to fathom that she would leave and not tell anyone where she was really going, especially after war is declared over it. And I think I found an explanation for why she didn't tell anyone, and that is that she did leave a note, but it fell into Littlefinger's hands, and he made sure the Starks never saw it. A year after the tourney at Harrenhal, when Lyanna Stark was abducted by Rhaegar Targaryen, she was actually in the Riverlands. Now, why was Lyanna in the Riverlands? Because her brother Brandon Stark was set to marry Catelyn Tully at the time of Lyanna's abduction. And Brandon was actually on his way to the Riverlands to marry Cat when he found out, and he decided to turn around and go to King's Landing instead of going to his wedding. Now, Littlefinger was raised as a ward at Riverrun, and he was a childhood friend of Catelyn and Lysa Tully. So, it is not preposterous that he may have been invited to this wedding between Catelyn Tully and Brandon Stark, placing him in the Riverlands at the time of Lyanna's abduction. Now, Brandon Stark was headed to Riverrun to marry Catelyn Tully when he finds out about Lyanna's abduction and decides to go to King's Landing instead. Now, I think it's entirely possible that Lyanna could have left a note behind for her family at Riverrun saying she was running off with Rhaegar and not to come looking for her. However, if Littlefinger possibly found this note from Lyanna explaining the situation, he may have decided to hide it from the Starks in order to buy himself time, knowing that if Brandon thought his sister was kidnapped, he would skip his wedding in order to go make the situation right. He may not have even intended for it to go so south at first. He may have just intended to cause a little chaos just so he could buy himself more time and possibly stop this wedding between Catelyn and Brandon. However, the whole situation soon spiraled out of control and turned into what we now know as Robert's Rebellion. So I think it's definitely possible that Littlefinger knew Lyanna wasn't kidnapped, but decided not to tell anyone because he had a vendetta against the Stark family for taking Catelyn from him in his mind. And it is possible that Littlefinger may have suspected the truth about Jon. We saw a lot of characters say that it wasn't Ned Stark's way to father an illegitimate child with some random woman, and Littlefinger was no dummy. He may not have known for sure, but he was an intelligent man, and he had a lot of inside sources which let him know about a lot of things that most people didn't know about. But even if he did know that Jon was actually Rhaegar and Lyanna's child and not Ned's bastard, he never would have told anyone this. Why? Because why would he tell Catelyn, the woman that he had this obsessive love for, that her husband had never cheated on her? Why would he tell her that Ned had been true to her all along? Why would he make her fall more in love with Ned than she already was by telling her, by the way, your husband has been faithful to you your entire marriage and he loves you, he never cheated on you, go enjoy the rest of your life? No, Littlefinger would have been vengeful, and I don't think that he would tell Catelyn that Ned was faithful. I think he would want her to live the rest of her life knowing that Ned had fathered a bastard. I think maybe in his twisted mind he felt like Catelyn and Ned deserved that for being married to each other instead of Catelyn being married to him. So guys, that is my really quick theory about Littlefinger possibly knowing about Rhaegar and Lyanna's secret love. Now, I know this is based on a lot of what ifs, but hopefully this explains some of the plot inconsistencies with Rhaegar and Lyanna running away together. And let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this is possible? I don't think we'll ever find out about this on the show, but it could possibly be discussed in books because George said that there won't be a Robert's Rebellion spinoff because we will know everything there is to know about Robert's Rebellion very soon. So let me know what you thought of this theory. Give this video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to my channel for more Game of Thrones theories. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!